Hello everyone, my name is Adrian Manzanares. I'm a broker associate with Blue Picket Realty in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The title of today's webinar is Everyday Actions That May Compromise Safety. There's a few goals that we have today for our webinar. The first is to discuss the importance of personal safety, to discuss the importance of having a plan, and to discuss the actions that compromise your safety. A few different topics for today's webinar. We'll discuss 3 basic rules: minimize distractions, how important it is to have a plan, how to stay one step ahead, the importance of safety while in a vehicle, the importance of safety while driving around town and being around town. We'll go through a little bit about open house safety. We'll talk about identity theft, and then we'll conclude with some Q&A. First, a little bit about myself. I have over 21 years in the law enforcement field. My first 4 years I began in the corrections as a corrections officer, working in the prisons. I spent 6 years in patrol, 11 years in investigations. In my 21 years total, I spent 15 years as a field training officer. Field training officer will take the new officers, the new recruits, the new deputies, whatever agency they're from, and show them the ropes, ensure that they experience the common instances, occurrences for their everyday working environment. I received a few citations during my career as a law enforcement officer. I received the Medal of Valor twice, a life-saving medal once, and a Purple Heart as well. I don't tell you that to brag about what I've done, because I think that the best thing, the one thing I do brag about is that in 21 years of being a police officer, I was never once in a fist fight, and I can tell you that that is most certainly because of my first 4 years working in the prison. You know, when you're working in a prison, the only weapon you have on your person is your mind and the ability to talk to people. I was a 5'9", 150-pound man when I was 21 years old, and I became a corrections officer. And if that person of that stature can tell a 300-pound felon, hey, you need to mop up the Kool-Aid you just spilled in the day room, and tell him in front of all the other felons in prison, and get him to do it, I think that says a little something. So, a couple things about everyday actions that may compromise safety. The odds are very low, right, of being attacked in a public place. Certainly they're very low compared to the number of realtors out there. But keep in mind that criminals do plan their crimes, and they do certainly look for an easy victim. So if you can do whatever you need to do so that you don't appear to be an easy victim, that's going to increase your odds. Of course, always the best defense is to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, it's going to be very tough to act or react when something happens. And of course, the smallest change in your routine can make the biggest difference. I remember when I first started as a law enforcement officer, we used to be able to take our patrol cars home, and they used to tell us, don't take the same route home every day. And I think that goes the same as a realtor. If you're leaving the office every single day and driving the same route home, it's very simple for a criminal to follow you and learn where you live. You may be driving north on the first street that you're on. You make your first left turn on the second street, and then you make a right turn. Well, on your Monday, the bad guy or bad girl, whatever you want to call him, will follow you until you make your first turn, and then he'll let you turn, and he'll continue going straight. Well, then the second day, on your Tuesday, he may meet you at the place he let you go the first time, and then he'll follow you till you make your next turn. And it may take a week or maybe a couple weeks, but eventually, if you take that same route home, he's going to figure out where you live. So the smallest change in your routine can make the biggest difference. So don't take those same routes home every single day. When your safety is compromised, can you anticipate it? Are you able to see those danger signs when they come up? Can you recognize it as it happens? A lot of times people don't realize what is actually happening. it's kind of a surprise. You know, you're taken aback. It's a shock. You don't really recognize what's going on. And I think the most important question here today is, are you ready to create that plan to reduce the likelihood of there being an issue? Having that plan is probably the most important thing that we can do. When it comes to your personal safety, again, having that plan in place is very, very important. But also, are you ready to use it? Having the best plan in place but not willing to use it, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? You also have to rehearse the plan. Absolutely have to rehearse it. If you haven't went through it and practiced it and tried to understand, okay, well, this is why I'm doing this, then it's kind of all for naught. Also, you got to have a plan B, because if plan A happens and you've rehearsed all these scenarios on what could go wrong, and this is what you're going to do when this happens, what happens if something happens and you didn't rehearse? Then you're kind of back to square one without a plan again. So having a plan B is very, very important. But of course, always I can ask you, please don't ever give up. If something happens and the stuff hits the fan, don't ever give up. Don't ever become the victim, because if you fight back, studies have shown that criminals that have been interviewed have said, if the person just would have fought back, I probably wouldn't have continued on. So refuse to be a victim. I know that there was some training that I've taken as a law enforcement officer where a police officer gets shot in the arm, and it's a non-deadly or a wound that's not gonna kill him, but he ends up bleeding out or he ends up dying because he didn't refuse to be a victim. He let himself go. So it happens all the time. Just refuse to be a victim. You hear all the time, a lot in today's society, especially with the going-ons in the world today with law enforcement officers. You hear a lot of, I'm going home today, and that's the biggest refusal of all, to be that victim. Is law enforcement, they go to work and they think, I am coming home today regardless of what happens. I think as an agent, you need to believe the same. Refuse to be the victim. Always believe that I am coming home today. Well, what has to happen? Well, in order for a crime to happen, there are 3 common occurrences. Number 1, the bad person has to have a desire, right? He has to have a want or a need to commit that crime. He has to have the ability to commit the crime. He has to be able to do it. Does he have all the tools at his disposal to be able to commit that crime? And finally, he has to have opportunity. There has to be that opportunity. He has to find the victim. He has to find his perfect, and he will have a plan, right? The criminal will have a plan. If all 3 of those things are met, the desire, the ability, and the opportunity are there, he will do it, or she will do it. The bad person will do it. But I guarantee you this: if you take away just one of those occurrences, the desire, you take away desire, you take away ability, or you take away the opportunity, the odds will sway very, very quickly in your favor. There are 3 basic rules when it comes to your safety. Number 1, remain alert. Be aware of your surroundings. It's so important. In today's day and age, I know we use our phones. We're on our phones. We're constantly looking for that one step ahead. But goodness, you have to be alert and be aware of your surroundings. Maintain a confident appearance. I know that when I used to coach baseball here in town, when the batters were walking up between the on-deck circle to the batter's box, I used to ask them, there's only one more important thing to think about when you're walking up to that plate, or one thing more important than you believing in yourself that you're going to hit a home run when you step in that box, and can you tell me what it is? And a lot of kids never got it, but the answer is, making that pitcher believe that you just might hit a home run. So if you can get the other person to believe, oh my goodness, this just may not work, and have him, take a step back, or have her take a step back, or put that little piece of doubt in their mind, you are one step ahead of them. So maintain that confident appearance. Very, very important. And third, trust your instincts. It's very, the world has a great way of telling us, hey, something's wrong. But we've all been there, and we've all experienced those gut feelings, and you're like, you know what, it hasn't happened before, or I've done this a million times in the past and nothing ever happened, so I'm going to continue on and move forward. You have to stay alert. You have to look around. You have to pay attention. If you're not doing that, so many things can come past you. So many things can occur that may compromise your safety. When you're walking down the street or walking from your car to the house that you're showing, and you see a person up, on the grass, watering the grass, or doing something, sitting in a car, acknowledge the person. Look them in the eyes and let them know that you see them. You don't necessarily have to make a statement to them, but just acknowledge them. Make mental notes of what you see. If, as you're walking up to the house, you see a young man on a porch wearing a red hoodie and khaki-colored shorts, and you go inside the house with your client, and God forbid something happens on the inside, when you get inside of the house, when you get interviewed by the police officer and he says, hey, could anyone else have seen this? Were there any witnesses to the crime? Obviously, it was the two of you inside the house, but you can tell the officer, hey, look, next door there was a young man wearing a red hoodie and khaki shorts. You may want to talk to him. He may have saw something. He may have heard something. So take those mental notes and just file them back into that file cabinet inside your brain, because you never know when they're going to come up, and you never know when they're going to be an asset to you. We'll always assist you in your preparedness. Being prepared, gosh, it goes without saying. Having the plan, being prepared, taking those mental notes, acknowledging everyone around you, looking at everyone around you, looking at at the scenario that you're in. Maintain that confident appearance. I talked about it a little bit ago with the baseball player, but you have to absolutely do it. Walk with confidence, right? If you walk like you know what you're doing, you walk like you know where you're going, people are going to believe, hey, he knows what he's doing, he knows where he's going, or she knows what he's doing, she knows where she's going. But walk with a purpose, right? Walk with the purpose. Walk as if you believe in yourself, and eventually it's going to become a habit. It will absolutely become a habit. And then you never know, you may find others following you, and that's going to be the fun part. Is it's almost fulfilling to understand or get that feeling that, hey, people are doing what I'm doing, and it's a great feeling. Keep in mind though, there's always that fine line between confident and cockiness. If you're confident, you may put the criminal on the on his heels and go, gosh, I don't know if I really want to do this right now. It may take a little bit of that desire away for him to commit the crime. But if you're cocky, it may spark a little bit of fire inside him, thinking, you know what, I'm going to take this person down a notch, and it may bring up feelings like that. Trusting your gut, pretty important. But if you feel something is wrong, it probably is, right? We've all seen it. We've all experienced those gut feelings. Gosh, I don't know if I should do this, but nothing happened last time I was here, or last time I was in this scenario, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Everything's going to be okay this time. They are tough to follow. Those gut feelings are very, very, very tough to follow. And they're tough to recognize, because human nature says, you know what, nothing is wrong. I'm going to be okay. And we truly don't. Most of the time it is going to be okay. But we've all seen it. And a lot of times it's not. Keep in mind, you are not invincible. We've all read the stories in the news. Unfortunately, we've seen it all. But we've always told ourselves, gosh, it's not going to happen here. It'll never happen here. Well, the truth of the fact is that it can happen anywhere. And I'm not here to try to scare you or try to place a lot of worry in you. Just want you to understand that, you know what, it absolutely can happen. It can happen anywhere. It can happen in a small town in Arizona, to a small town in Arkansas, to a large town in California, or a big town in Florida. You never really know, because it actually can happen anywhere. An everyday action that could compromise your safety is forgetting to minimize those distractions. I know I've done this. We've all walked and texted somewhere. You're looking at your tablet, you're looking at your phone. If you're not texting, you've got the distractions out there, and it's very tough to not walk and text, especially in today's day and age. Walk in the open areas. Try not to walk between the cars, because you never know what's going on between those cars. You walk down the middle of the, and I'm not talking just in your real estate duties, but if you're walking from your car to the mall, walk down the middle of the street so you can see something going on, or watch the cars coming up behind you. It's easy to miss those danger red flags. Someone could be following you, and someone can be waiting in the shadows. if you're walking through a parking garage. So just be mindful, and be aware, because you never know what could happen. Walking to your vehicle, always try to stay one step ahead, right? Keep your keys in your hand when you're walking to the vehicle. If you get to the vehicle and your keys are in your hand already, and the keys, you're ready to unlock that door, you're not going to be there fumbling with your keys at the car door, looking, not digging around through your pockets. You're not looking through your purse looking for the car. You don't have to be standing there at the car door fumbling with the key fob. And here's one, open the driver's side door only. I know that with both of my key fobs, if I click the unlock the door button once, it only opens the driver's side door. But if I hit it a second time, it's going to open the remainder of the car doors. If I'm by myself, I'm just going to click that button one time and only open my door, so no one can jump in, the passenger side rear door, so and get in with me that I wasn't expecting. Visually look in the vehicle prior to getting in. That could be a big one. I know I've been in a rush, and it's pretty tough. You just jump in your car and you take off straight away, and you don't really take a look. But obviously that can be an issue, and it could compromise your safety. Can someone escort? I know at the grocery store we've all had the young man or young woman bagging my groceries, and they say, "Hey, can I help you out?" And gosh, 99.9% of the time, I would say, "No, thanks. Not a big deal. I've got it." But if you're grocery shopping late at night, or in the early evening hours, and something just doesn't feel right, and someone asks you, "Hey, can I ask you, help you out with your groceries?" Take them up on it. Have them walk with you out to the car, because maybe not necessarily to help you load your groceries, but just to escort you out. I think the same goes true with if you're at the mall, late at night, and the young man says, "Hey, or you're done with your transaction at the cashier," and I don't think it would hurt to ask the cashier to call a security officer over to walk you to your car if you got a bunch of stuff, because you never know what's lurking out there. Think about where you've parked. Is the area well lit? Is it a well lit parking lot? Are there parking lights, and do they work if you're returning after dark? I know there's been many times that I have went to the mall at 5 p.m. and then we don't leave the mall until after 8, and certainly the sun has gone down. The parking lot is much darker than it was when I got there. So be mindful of that. Are you parking underneath a parking lot light when you get there? Do you store your valuables? I know we talked about this, or this is put out there a lot during the holidays, but do you have to take the big purse into the mall, or do you store it in the back of your car? Do you don't just leave it in the center console, or even a wallet or a checkbook? I know I've left my checkbook in the console of my car several times and not even thought about it. But when you're returning to your vehicle, what type of vehicles are parked next to yours? I know when I parked here at 5 o'clock, there was nothing to my driver's side of my vehicle, but now when I'm coming back, there's a big, white van parked next to me. Could that be an issue? Absolutely, it could be. That may be a scenario where I want to go back into the mall and ask for a security guard to escort me out to my car. You never know. You never know what's going to happen, and it's always better be safe than sorry. While you're driving, maintain the routine maintenance on your car, right? Make sure that your brakes are all good. They're up to everything's up to speed. Make sure your oil changes are done on a timely basis. Make sure all your fluids have been checked. Pay attention to your gas gauge. I know there's been plenty of times I'm driving down the road, and for whatever reason that gas gauge, the light comes on. Excuse me. Try not to let your tank go below a quarter of a tank. That could be a big issue there. You never know when you're going to have to go, and how quick you got to get somewhere, and you need to stop and get gas, and putting yourself in another place that you don't want to be. Think about the space between you and the car ahead of you. If you pull up to a red light or to a stop sign, and you're just sitting there, if someone was to come up to your driver's side door of your vehicle, can you pull away really quick? A lot of times, for whatever reason, you don't stop at the right time, and now you have to back up because someone's at your door, and kind of puts you in a spot. Well, being able to drive away or pull away really quick could be a good thing that would help you. Pay attention to the cars driving past you. You know, are the passerbys trying to warn you, hey, there may be something wrong with your car? Do you have a flat tire? Or, you know, is there someone, God forbid, there's someone in the back seat that you didn't see when you got in the car? Just pay attention to those kind of things. When you park your car, do you park in front of the property or not in the driveway? I mean, I think it goes without saying that we all try to park in front of the house, right? We don't want to have to pull out of the driveway if you can. It's a lot easier to drive off quickly if you need to. But then, do you know where you are? Do you know how to get out of that neighborhood? God forbid someone's chasing you and you turn down a cul-de-sac because you don't know where you're going or you don't know the area that you're in. So be mindful of that. That's an action that could compromise your safety, is not knowing where you are, not knowing the neighborhood that you're in. I know as cops, we were told, you know, hey, this is going to be your sector. This is going to be your area. Why don't you drive the streets on your days off? Because you never know. The street, the place, the neighborhood may look, or it certainly does look a lot different in the daytime than it does in the nighttime. So drive those streets, drive the areas that you farm, and get to know the neighborhood as best you can. While you're walking, avoid those dim lit areas. I know it goes without saying, and just do whatever you can to walk in the light. Continuously scan your surroundings. If you are able to, like I said, we talked about a little bit ago, but scan those surroundings. You gotta know what's going on around you. Look for those red flags. Remain mindful of the hiding places. There are so many places where people can hide. There are bushes. You know, there's trash cans. Someone can hide behind a trash can. Hide behind a parked vehicle. You know, it's always tough to figure out, or it could be tough to figure out, is someone following you? But if those gut feelings come into play, right? So I always feel like someone's watching me. I always feel like someone's following me. Keep in mind those are out there, and trust those gut feelings. Walk facing the traffic. It's kind of tough, or goes without saying, but you can always see what's in front of you without having to turn around. You know, if someone's coming up behind you, if you're walking with the traffic, if there's a car that's coming up, you won't see it. So walk facing the traffic. Are you walking and talking on the phone? This is a personal preference. I've heard it both ways. You know, I want to be on the phone with my wife when I'm leaving the office, walking out to my car, so my wife I can tell her, hey, you know, something's going on, call the cops. But, you know, am I able then to scan my surroundings? Am I able to see actually everything that's going around me because I've got a phone in my ear, or I've got a Bluetooth in my ear? But again, personal preference, just be mindful that there are pros and cons on both ways. Social media. Oh my goodness, social media rules today's society, right? Just be mindful of what you post, because it's very easy to track. I know there are people out there that I had breakfast here, and here was my plate. I had lunch here, and then we had dinner here, and it's so simple for everyone to see what's going on. I mean, it's great for your friends and great for your family if if you go on a business trip and you check in somewhere while your husband or your wife knows where you're at. Well, you know what? It can be both a positive and a negative, because even though your friends know where you are, everyone else does too. So I can't stress this enough, is lock down your profiles. If you don't know how to lock down your Facebook profile or your social media profile, Google it. Absolutely Google it. It will definitely it will definitely be able to tell you, definitely be able to tell you how to lock down those profiles and take care of it. It's not a tough one, but just make sure you do it. While you're at an ATM, if at all possible, use the ATM during the day, and use a familiar ATM. If you go, it's always nice to go to the same ATM over and over, but you never know what's going on today, and you have to pull into an ATM. And can you drive up to the ATM and get really close to that ATM? Is it really close on your driver's side so that no one can come in and jump in your car? Your passenger side door will be locked, and the rear doors will be locked. So if you cannot at any time use a drive-up ATM, I definitely recommend that. Is the area well lit? if you can, like I said at the very beginning of the slide here, use it during the day. But if you have to use it at night, use an ATM where the area is well lit. Also, take a look and see, is there people waiting, or are there people waiting in the parked vehicles of the parking lot? You never know. You know, people may be watching. They may be getting ready to follow you home, or follow you right after you withdraw money from the ATM. So be mindful of that. That definitely could compromise your safety. When you arrive at home, are you coming home to a dark house, or do you leave the lights on? I know that we tend to do it. You don't really expect you're going to come home late, or you leave early. You may come back, but something comes up in the middle of your trip, and you have to stay out a little longer than you had planned. So you come home. Well, there are the timers out there that put the lights on timers, so lights on at certain times of the day. So it helps you out. You want to keep those lights on as often as you can when you come home during the night. And obviously, the best thing to do is to have a home security system. I've heard there are several agencies out there, insurance agencies, that will actually give you a discount on your insurance if you put a burglar alarm on your house. While you're at home, and you're going to be away, safety for the home. Well, if you're going to be away, ask the neighbor to collect a newspaper. I know it goes without saying, we say it all the time, but either ask the neighbor to collect it so it doesn't appear as if that the paper is still, there's no one home because there's 4 or 5 papers out in front of the house. Ask the neighbor to pick one up. Keep your bushes trimmed, and keep those shrubs trimmed. It's very easy once they get out of hand for someone to hide inside them. You have a solid core exterior door. Those, it's a lot easier to knock down a door that doesn't have a solid core on it. So it's always best to take a look and say, hey, do I have a solid core? If not, let's go get one. Motion sensor lights. Those are great tools. They could be a pain in the butt, but you know what? I think safety would have to overrule here. Those motion sensor lights really do pay for themselves. Safety in the neighborhood. Keep open communication with your neighbors. Have a neighborhood yard sale. Have a neighborhood barbecue, because you never know what's gonna go on. Establish that email group to say, hey guys, you know what? I'm going to be out of town over the weekend, and if you don't mind, just keep an eye out on my house, and then make sure that you're the good neighbor and you can return the favor. It's always nice to do that. When you're on an elevator, here's one that I didn't think about until I started doing research for this webinar. And have you ever thought, I just don't feel comfortable, I don't want to walk into this elevator here, especially if this guy's opening the door for me. But stand with your back to the wall if you can when you're inside there. Stand near the door, right? If someone gets on that makes you uncomfortable, it's okay to get off. You can get off and take the stairs, or you can get off and wait for the next elevator. It's really not that big of a deal. Safety is always number one. Foreclosed and vacant homes. They unfortunately attract unexpected house guests. Squatters, we don't ever want to confront them because you never know what's going to go on. Also, the home itself may be poorly lit. You never know what you could be coming into one of those homes. There could be possible safety hazards, right? You don't know if the floor is splitting and splintering, and your client may be walking in, seeing the house in the summertime, and he's wearing flip-flops or she's wearing flip-flops, and you don't know, could that be an issue? You don't know what the ceiling looks like. Could the fixtures be ready to fall off the ceiling? You never know. This is a big one, and it has happened to me. I was showing a townhome once, and we went into the garage, and there was a great-looking. The townhome did not have electricity, so we walked in the garage. I had a flashlight. My buyer had a flashlight. Excuse me. And there was a great workbench inside the garage. Well, one of the side of the garage door itself was off the track, so we had a little light coming in from the outside. But we both had our flashlights on, and we walked over to this workbench because the buyer wanted to know if the workbench stayed with the house. Well, as we walk in, we walk over to the workbench, and the door closed behind us, and we didn't realize that the door locked on the inside of the house, and we were stuck inside this horrible is just crazy, creepy inside a garage that you did not want to be in, and I couldn't get back in the house, and we had to squeeze through the little tiny opening of the garage door and get back in. It was a funny scenario after we got out, but I got to tell you, I'll be the first to admit it was a little creepy, and it did scare me because that door did lock right behind me, and you never know. This you see this all the time. You know, people telling, well, meet at the office or meet in a public place, especially if it's a first-time client. I think that's Realtor 101 with today's day and age. Take a photocopy of the identification if you absolutely can, or introduce them to a colleague. That would be a good one to do, because if a criminal has a plan to hurt you or to do something to you, if you introduce them to a colleague at the office, that's another person that has seen the criminal's face, and it may just put a little bit of doubt in their mind that I don't know if I should really go through with this. Use your cell phone camera. Now, I'm not talking about take a selfie with them, but take a picture of him or her, your client, and take a picture of their license plate. Send that off to a colleague in the office saying, hey, you know what, this is my buyer, this is their car, this is what he's driving, just in case, because you never know what's going to happen. With the personal information, the internet makes it very easy to find out what is out there about you. I know I've Googled myself probably every other week to see what is out there. Do it. I mean, Google yourself, find out what is out there. There's no need to share, but you don't want to share where you live, and it's really tough not to, especially if you're showing a house in the neighborhood that you live in. People tell the client, well, this is a great neighborhood. I just live a couple miles away. I mean, I've done that myself. But it's tough not to share upcoming vacations. I can't show you a house this weekend because I'm heading out to Mexico. I'm going to be out of state. I'm going on vacation. But I've also said this, gosh, happy hour this Friday. We've all done it, but really there is no need to do it. But definitely an action that could compromise your safety. Keep that in mind. With your marketing, I think it goes without saying that we should wear professional clothing, and we've all seen it. We've all seen those billboards. We've all seen the ads on social media where things just don't look right. Use professional contact information. Are you using your home email versus your work email? Make sure there's a difference. You use your first name, last name at your, Adrian Manzanares at bluepicketrealty.com or something like that versus, Adrian at msn.com. Try to keep it professional as often as you can. Open houses, and require the sign-in sheets. Open House 101, require a name, a phone number, and an email. But keep in mind that these are only worth the paper that they're written on, because I know we've all held those open houses, and for some reason Homer Simpson always attends an open house, and it's kind of funny, but we've all had it happen. Speak with the neighbors prior to the event, because you never know. I do it all the time. I'll try and talk to all 5 neighbors, house on each side of my open house, and then the 3 neighbors across the street to let them know, hey, I'm going to be here from 1 to 4 today. I'm going to be here from 12 to 3 today. If you hear something weird, please come and check on me, or call the cops and then come and check on me. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So speak with those neighbors. In a public restroom, I know this was one of those deals that I'm thinking, gosh, what else can I talk about? And I started thinking, well, in the handicap stalls, the doors open out, so the door can't be shoved in against you. So you may want to think about using those in public. Don't set those items on the floor if you have something with you. Use the coat hook or set everything on the plumbing behind you or on the toilet paper dispenser. But I think that was one of those things where I'm thinking, what else could, where else could I be going with this webinar? And that was one I thought, this is probably something we don't ever think about, but using a handicap stall. When you carry a purse or a wallet, does the purse have a shoulder strap? And there are 2 schools of thought here. Do you or don't you place the strap over your neck? And I think the biggest question is or the easiest answer is, it depends on if you're willing to let go of what's inside. If the shoulder strap is over your shoulder, then it's going to be easier, or they can take the purse away from you a lot easier than they can if the strap is over your neck. So just be mindful of that. Does it have a flap? Does the purse have a flap? If it does, do you face the clasp inwards, to keep it closed? And do you keep the flap closed? Is the clasp inactive? So that's another thing you may want to think about that could compromise your safety. When you carry your wallet, do you carry it in the front pocket or do you carry it in the back pocket? Do you invite those pickpockets out to try and get what they can? Also keep minimum inside your wallet or your checkbook. Definitely don't carry your Social Security card in there. I know I was with my son taking him back to college a couple weeks ago, and I said, hey, you're filling out some form for the school somewhere, and I said, hey, do you know your Social Security number? And he whips out his wallet and he says, yep, and he starts reading it up. I'm like, why is your Social Security card in your wallet? And it was just one of those things. I was thinking, I teach this, but here my son is whipping his Social Security card out of his wallet. So just keep that in mind. If you're confronted, if someone says, hey, give me your wallet, give me your purse, what are you going to do? Well, I can tell you this, I'm going to throw the wallet as far away as I can, and I'm going to take off running the other way, because there's nothing inside my wallet that I can't cancel, right? All the cards in my wallet, I can cancel every single one of them. I can get myself a new driver's license. When I get myself a new hunter safety card, it's not that big of a deal. It's not worth my life, and I'm going to run. I'll tell you, the big bad cop is going to run. I'm not going to stand and fight because there's nothing in that wallet that's worth my life. Mind your trash, especially after the holidays. I know I've driven neighborhoods before, and you can tell who has the new electronics in the neighborhood just by their trash, right? You can tell who has the biggest or the new TV based on the television box outside on the side of the house or on the curb of the house waiting to be picked up by the trash man. You can tell who has the new computer box or a new computer in the house because of the box that's out there. Just be mindful of that. I know we talk about that all the time, especially during the holidays, but I think it's a year-round thing. You may want to take those large empty boxes and cut them up into smaller pieces and consider, 2 different trash days. Take half of it out on one day and then send them out the other half on the next trash day. You never know who's driving the neighborhoods, because I tell you, if I did it just for research on this webinar, a criminal's doing it because he's trying to figure out or she's trying to figure out, what's going on in the house. Is there something new going on in the house? A little bit about identity theft. Shred, don't toss. I think that goes without saying. There's all kinds of different shredders out there on today's market. There's the strip cut shredders, the one on the left in the picture, the cross cut shredder up on the top right, and then the micro cut shredder on the bottom right. Obviously, the micro cut is the safest way to go, but I think that any shredder is better than no shredder at all. So take all those pieces of paper that have identifying information and shred them. Pretty good thing to do then. Your mailbox. Empty it as soon as possible, especially if you have one of those residential mailboxes that sits alone by itself in front of your house. You don't want a bunch of mail to be packing up inside that mailbox as the weeks go on. If you have a cluster box, that could be a little safer, but again, if you don't stop your mail, that cluster box is going to get pretty quick or pretty full pretty quick, so be mindful of that as well. Send mail from the post office. If you're sending off those bills with checks in them, if you still use checks, just be mindful that the payee's name on that check can be taken off with solvent, and the criminal can put his or her name in that check and cash the check that way. So just be mindful of that. You never know what's going on today with identity theft. Thieves are going, they're taking it to new levels, so just be mindful of that. Use complicated passwords. I remember seeing a study that said the most common password is the word password, or 87654-321. Make those passwords complicated as you can, but easy enough to still remember. Keep your malware and your spyware up to date. That is so important in today's day and age. I know my son got a brand new laptop not too long ago, about 6 weeks ago, and he signed up and he got the free spyware and had it installed. And I told him to put a reminder in in his calendar to remind himself to update it every few months, especially purchase the new updated version after 12 months, because you never know what's going to be happening in a few weeks or in a few months. If you're attacked, try to remain as calm as possible. It's kind of funny to look here at this picture, but you have to remain calm, especially if, you know, in the heat of the moment and when the stuff hits the fan. One of three things will occur. You're gonna fight, you're gonna fly, or take off running, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. You're normally probably gonna freeze is what's gonna happen. You're gonna lose the fine motor skills. It's gonna be tough to pick up a pen or pick up an object if it's not already in your hand, because you're gonna lose those fine motor skills. Tunnel vision is going to come into play, and you're going to have that audio exclusion. Think about when a bunch of cops execute a search warrant at a house. What's the first thing they do when they go inside? They're yelling, "Police search warrant, police search warrant." They're yelling it as loud as they can and as often as they can for a couple of different reasons. Number one, probably most importantly, afterwards, after the incident has occurred, the detectives are going to come up on scene and they're going to start interviewing neighbors. And they're going to knock on the door next door, and they're going to say, "Hey, did you see or hear anything?" And it will go so far in court if the neighbor next door said, "You know what, Your Honor, on the stand, when he's on the stand testifying, I didn't see a thing as everything was going on, but what I did hear was those cops yelling, 'Police search warrant, police search warrant.'" So, number two, the reason they do it is because inside the house, the audio exclusion is going to occur so quickly. People are going to freeze up, and you're not going to know what's going on. The cops yell and they repeat, "Police, police, police! Get on the ground, do whatever," yelling out those commands, because it's tough to hear. And then maybe you won't hear it the first, second, or third time, but you're going to hear them yelling the fourth time. "Oh my gosh, now I got to get on the ground." So keep that in mind. When the stuff hits the fan, you are going to get that tunnel vision. You are going to lose those fine motor skills, and it's going to be tough to hear things. In conclusion, let's talk, just be aware, right? From initial contact to final contract. Please, please, please be aware. Remember this: safety first, paycheck second. That is so important, because if you're not around to pick up that paycheck, that's not going to be a good thing. Listen to your gut, right? Follow those instincts. It's really tough. It's really tough to follow those instincts, but if you plan to do it, it makes it a little bit easier. Preparation, preparation, preparation. If you don't prepare, if you don't have a plan, you come into these scenarios and instances where it's kind of tough, and you don't know what the heck you're going to do. You're going to freeze. You don't know what to do. It's going to be real interesting to see, and could be kind of dangerous. So keep that in mind. That's my contact information there. Please take a look at my Facebook page, link up with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to take some questions. I can see them. Do you have, sorry, do you take a picture of the license with the client knowing? Absolutely, I do. If I'm going to share this photo with a friend, why not? I'm not. It kind of puts him on edge, or it could, if the guy has a plan to hurt me. Absolutely, I'm going to, and I take a picture of his license and I send it off to somebody. It could put down in his mind, oh my gosh, now someone has my license plate. I'm going to absolutely take a picture, and I have, and I do, because my safety is number one, especially if I don't know you and I'm meeting you at a Starbucks, or I'm meeting you at a coffee house or a grocery store parking lot, or somewhere, a restaurant parking lot. I'm going to take the photo, and I'm going to let you see me take the picture, because I truly don't care. My safety is a heck of a lot more important than you buying a house or you selling your house. I hope that answered your question. Thank you for your service. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Do you recommend a stun gun? There are so many different avenues out there to buy things. I know there are damsels in defense. There are police supply stores out there that provide personal protective tools. Absolutely. I mean, and I know the question is going to come up here, do you recommend carrying a gun? The answer to that is it depends, because you have to know how to use it, number one, and it goes with the stun gun as well. You have to know how to use it, but you also know, you have to know how to deploy it, right? So if my wife does carry a stun gun, but she does practice taking it out of her purse a lot, and she knows where it's at. She knows, she's going to the mall. She knows where her stun gun is. So if you're going to practice with it, yes, I would recommend it. But if you're just going to carry it, just to carry it, I would tell you no. And with regards to carrying a gun on showings, now if you're working, the rural areas or the mountain areas where it most definitely could help you, absolutely. But I guarantee you, those people they're gonna practice with their guns a lot more than John Q. Realtor in the middle of downtown metropolis. Think about this. I remember your regular, being a cop, you have to go to the range to fire your gun 4 times a year. You have to qualify with that weapon 4 times a year, every quarter, once a quarter. And your average everyday cop is going to shoot his weapon about 400 times every time he goes to that range. So over a course of a year, he's going to shoot his gun 1,600 times. That's just your average Joe cop. Every bullet costs about $1, and so to John Q. Public, that's about $1,600 a year if he's going to practice as much as a police officer is. And I called my buddy, who's a range master here at one of the local ranges, and I said, when the stuff hits the fan and the cop has to use his weapon, how often does he hit what he's aiming? And he said about 50% of the time. And that's, again, when the stuff is hitting the fan. And that's just your average day cop. It's not your SWAT sniper, it's not your SWAT officer, that's just your average day cop, about 50% of the time. Well, if you have a cop that's shooting his gun 1,600 times a year, and when the stuff hits the fan, if he shoots and only hits, if he aims or hits only 50% of what he's aiming at, right? And then you have your realtor, who it costs him, or your average Joe, whatever you want to call him, it costs him $1 per bullet. If that realtor is going to spend $1,600 a year to shoot that gun, just to practice firing that gun, on top of, that doesn't include range time. If you're going to go to an indoor firing range, if you're going to go somewhere and shoot at a range locally, your basic, if you want to compare yourself to the average cop, $1,600 is the minimum that you're going to spend. And I can almost guarantee you there's not a realtor out there, and I don't want to say guarantee because that's tough, but very few realtors out there will shoot their gun 1,600 times a year to practice with it. And it's, so do I recommend you carrying a gun up during your normal everyday duties? If you're going to practice with it, absolutely. If you're going to be proficient with it, absolutely. I think that's very, very important. Do you recommend pepper spray or other personal protection, other devices other than a concealed weapon? Again, if you're going to practice with them, if you're going to prepare, to how to use them, how to deploy them, if you're just going to carry it in your purse and do nothing, never ever practice taking it out of your purse or take it out of your back pocket or taking it out of the small of your back, wherever you're going to carry it. No, I don't recommend that you carry it. But if you are going to practice, then absolutely. It's kind of like taking a self-defense course. If you're just going to take one and never go back, I don't recommend that. I mean, you got to practice what could happen, right? You got to practice punching, you got to practice striking, you got to practice kicking. You got to do everything with. It's kind of like speaking a language, right? If you take Spanish in school, if you don't practice it forever, you're going to lose it. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Do you suggest using tracker apps or on your cell, such as, yes, if it makes you feel safe and you've used it before, I would tell you, yes, use whatever you can. As long as you know it's there, it's part of the plan, right? Any plan is better than having no plan at all. Can we get a copy of this presentation? Absolutely. My contact information is there. If you send me an email, I'll most certainly send you a copy of the slides. I believe that Realtor University will also they will also do the archive the webinar, so you can come and download it whenever you like. There are some companies out there that suggest we carry a taser and pepper spray. Your thoughts? Went over that already. Thank you for your time for any service. Thank you so much for thanking me. That's nice. What's the rule on carrying a concealed pistol into a seller's home or business? I would recommend that you contact your local law enforcement agency, because I know that would be different in certain areas across the nation. So same question with mace. Again, I don't think carrying mace is, I don't think in Colorado anyone can buy a mace. Actually, I think you could buy it at Walmart, and I think John Q. Public can go into a police supply store and get the police grade pepper spray. So I don't think pepper spray or mace, however you want to refer to it as, I think you can carry that wherever you want to go. What's your opinion on using wasp spray for protection? The only cans of wasp spray that I've ever seen are like 14 inches long. That is something that I'm not going to, I'm already carrying my cell phone, I may be carrying my tablet or my iPad with me. I just don't think I have a holster for a 14-inch canister of wasp spray. But not to say that it won't work, because if that's your plan and that's what you practice and it's worked for you in the past, by all means carry the wasp spray. You never know, and who knows, maybe you may come across a hive of wasps that it would save you. $1 per bullet. Where are you buying ammo? Nice. Can a seller post a sign that no concealed weapons are allowed under their home or business? I guess they can. I get that. But if I'm carrying a gun, I don't carry, by the way, I don't carry a gun. And I've been shot. I've been shot on a traffic stop, and I've had to shoot a man in the line of duty as well. And I don't carry a gun. But if I ever choose to carry a weapon and I see a sign on a gentleman's house that I'm going to show, would I take it out to my car? My weapon, that is? Probably not, right? Probably not. I'm probably going to keep it on me and move forward that way, if I'm being honest. What's the rule on carrying a concealed pistol into a showing or open house? Again, I would refer you to your local law enforcement agency. Our Realtor Association sells mace as well. Are we able to buy the driver's license readers to scan at open houses, and from where? I've never, I don't know, with today's technology and our driver's licenses, I don't know if I'd spend the money on buying a driver's license reader if I can just take a quick photo of the driver's license and text it somewhere as well. Got a couple minutes left, and before I move on, I do need to let everyone know that the next webinar will start promptly at 1 o'clock Central Time, and you should have received an email from Realtor University advising you how to log on. So be mindful of that. Let's see. Wasp spray carries a warning that it is a violation of federal law to use it for anything other than its protected purpose. Theoretically, you could be sued or jailed if you use it for self-defense. Stick with pepper spray. Okay, that's another reason not to carry that 14-inch can of wasp spray. You don't want to get sued. Okay, everyone, again, there's my contact information. If you'd like to send me a text, that is my cell number. Send me an email, send me a connect on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you. Thanks for attending today's webinar. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thanks again.